Pasto0063 here again, welcoming you along to the Pain in the Arse Robomaster Convention. Oh wait, I mean the continuation of the Mega Man 2 Let's Play Perfect Run project. Anyways, contestant number 1, Airman, come on down. We find ourselves high up in the sky for this level, pits everywhere. Not that, in all honesty, avoiding falling in them is too difficult, but still, they're there. These giant things are called air tiki. You need them to land on in order to progress through the level. They have two horns which slowly protrude upwards before reclining. That's typically when you want to make your move. And when you're standing on them, they endlessly shoot miniature versions of themselves, which will eventually, slowly, home in on you. One shot's all you need to take out the miniatures. Next up are the Lightning Lords. You'll find them atop these circling cloud platforms. You need to destroy them before hitching a ride on their clouds, and you'll need 3 hits to kill them all. This section is further made awkward by the fact that Mega Man and the cloud platforms are more in the background of the clouds making up part of the scenery. So, from time to time, Mega Man will disappear behind a cloud and you can't really see what's going on. However, during these times, you're pretty much fine to just stand still and wait until Mega Man pops into view again. Lovely, it's Pippi again. And potentially in this section she can also hide behind the clouds so that you can't see her when she flies in and drops eggs on you. But there's a trick to this bit. After killing the first egg and having made your way a little bit to the right, stop. Possibly turn around too, not quite sure. This time though, Pippi will appear from the left-hand side of the screen. Allow the egg to break this time, but keep moving to the right. All the babies will try to follow you, but they won't catch up to you before you drop off the edge of the screen. Because there are these baby Pippis on the screen, another mother Pippi won't be able to fly in and drop any more eggs on you. I do find that helpful. A couple more air tikis to worry about here, and this time you need to be a bit clever with your timing. You need to jump from air tiki to air tiki with no intermediate platform to rest on. That means timing things so that the right hall of the first tiki and the left hall of the second tiki are somewhat moving in tandem so as not to create a blockade. Pick your moment carefully when scrolling the second one onto the screen. The last part of the level contains these fan feeds, which are very glitchy by the way and highly susceptible to being scrolled off screen. And more Pippi. The fan feeds blow you backwards, but if you keep moving to the right you can still fight off the blowback. The Pippi are again the most awkward things to worry about. This time there's not really any way to solve the cloud cover problem, so you need to become adept either at working out the timing for when the next Pippi is going to appear, or positioning yourself so when a Pippi drops an egg, it's always the same distance in front of you. It falls in the pit rather than on the platform that's splitting open. Either way, getting a hand on at least one of those little techniques will be invaluable. We've made it to Airman. He's very easy to beat as the Mega Buster does quite nice damage to him, but he's a nightmare to perfect run. He shoots tornadoes in 4 different patterns. Some are okay to dodge, some are flat out ridiculous. He shoots 3 times, then jumps across screen and repeats the same general pattern only from the left hand side of the screen. If he gets off 3 more tornado sets, he'll jump back to the right. Now, that fight went by very quickly, but don't worry, I'll have more to demonstrate on Airman in just a second. For taking out the bastard, we get Air Shooter. It fires 3 tornadoes in an upward arcing direction and can be quite good at taking out airborne enemies. You also get the last utility item number 2. It's a rocket type platform which only goes horizontally but can get you across large chasms, spike areas, and is a lot of people's go-to thing to get through that giant reappearing disappearing block section in Heatman stage. Most people will therefore beat Airman before even tackling Heatman stage. Well guys, I'm sorry to say it, but this is the first stage I haven't been able to perfect run. But since during that run through I cleared the level without taking any damage, it stands to reason that Airman himself is the reason why. Allow me to demonstrate. So here I am back at Airman. I'm not going to try to fight him, that's a little distracting from the point I want to make. No, we're just going to observe the tornado patterns he shoots at me. This is number 1, it's dang near impossible to avoid. This is number 2, it's also dang near impossible to avoid. This is number 3, not a gimme, but I really should get through. And this is number 4, like 1 and 2, it's dang near impossible to avoid. How nice of you Airman to shoot out all 4 patterns in just 4 waves. Remind me to send you a leaf basket. Now admittedly I did mess up on trying to dodge number 4, twice actually, so we'll have to wait for the second fight here to get a better idea of what's going on with that one. But pattern number 4 is the contentious issue. Now again, I don't like referring to others' videos directly when I don't know that person, and I did say I'd limit the number of times I mentioned him, but to truly understand why this is so annoying for me, the best reference I can give is Rome Mistral perfect run of Airman, specifically the outtake section of his video. Here we go. That hit me. Pattern number 4 on what I presume is the original NES version that Rome is playing, the very last tornado goes harmlessly over Mega Man's head. On this GameCube Anniversary Edition, although it's still supposedly a copy of the NES version, it does not. For the love of God, why? Here we go again. And again. Ugh. With that one tornado hitting me, trying to perfectly run Airman just goes way above my patience tolerance levels. Here's one more demonstration where he actually shoots all 4 patterns off without my talking in the background, so you can concentrate on why this is so goddamn stupid. And now it's time for Maths with Musto. Don't worry, I'll try to keep it reasonably straightforward. And with there being a trick whereby you can stand behind Airman and pummel him when he first jumps across the screen, hopefully doing enough damage so as not to have to worry about dodging another tornado wave, let's just assume, for the time being, that to perfect run Airman, all I have to do is avoid 3 tornado waves. On the original NES, i.e. Rome's version, 2 tornado patterns are easily dodgeable. The other 2 are just as dickish and will almost guarantee a failure. So, the probability of getting 3 tornado patterns whereby it's possible to dodge them is a half, times a half, times a half. Doesn't matter which of the 2 dodgeable patterns are fired, it just needs to be one of the 2 3 times in a row. That equals 1 in 8. On the GameCube Anniversary Collection, i.e. my version, only 1 tornado pattern is easily dodgeable. The other 3 practically guarantee a failure. That means the probability of getting 3 tornado patterns whereby it's possible to dodge them, so pattern number 3 as described earlier, 3 times in a row, is a quarter times a quarter times a quarter. That equals 1 in 64. What does this mean? Well, for the NES version, this means that, on average, it won't guarantee it'll happen, but on average, you would expect Airman to shoot out 3 dodgeable tornado patterns once in every 8 attempts at fighting him. Still kind of irritating, it boils down to the luck of the tornado draw, but you know what? 1 in 8? Nah, I can live with that. However, for the GameCube Anniversary version I'm playing on average, I would expect Airman to shoot out 3 dodgeable tornado patterns once in every 64 attempts. That's stupid. And remember that this math assumes all I need to dodge is 3 tornado waves. If I'm not quick enough to take out Airman before I need to jump over him and dodge another round, I'm relying on him to shoot that one nice tornado pattern again, thus bumping up the number of times I need to play to expect again, on average, to have 1 chance to beat him up to 256. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. In any I Wanna Be game I play, I likely have to play a boss hundreds of times before I beat him. So, what's the difference here? Well, you're right. But unlike that, here I also have to make my way through a 2 to 3 minute level as well, just to reach Airman. If it were just the fight I had to worry about, yeah, I'd probably be tenacious, or perhaps just downright stupid enough to sit there and refight Airman as many times as it takes to get him. But I'm not doing that with a level to clear every time as well. Sorry, but I draw the line at that. It'd be like in I Wanna Be the Guy having to do the Tower of the Guy every time you wanted to fight the final boss, if you didn't quite realise you can actually save before it. Now who would do that? So yeah, sorry. But this degree of dickery is just way above my patience and/or tolerance levels. That, I guess, then brings us to the difficulty analysis. Well, actually, not quite yet it doesn't. This story doesn't quite end here. Yep, I'm playing the Wily Wars version now. The key thing here is that Airman is so much nicer this time around. He again seems to have 4 tornado patterns. This time, 3 of them are easily dodgeable, and only 1 is in effect a guaranteed failure. I'll go back and explain the math behind what that means, including factoring in that on the Wily Wars version the stay behind airman shoot him technique is tricky to pull off, and that he typically takes longer to kill once this run is over. But for the time being, allow me to rejoice in the fact that at least in one version of the game, airman has been perfect runned. And as with any perfect run, I can't just show off the boss in isolation, I have to show off the stage too, so here is the Wily Wars version of airman stage. For the most part, exactly the same. But you may have noticed that the way these cloud platforms circle is a little different here. While neither's really bad at all, this is the easier version. You can pull off the same trick with the Pippi, but this time the mother Pippi actually seems to move slower. You can almost run along with it rather than the babies, but the same principle holds. Now this time the 2 air tiki here almost seem to be perfectly set up so that the horns move in tandem, so you don't really need to worry about that here. I think anyway. I could have just been really lucky here, but the second air tiki didn't seem to actually scroll on the screen, it was already there. Now the fan feeds are now a lot less susceptible to being scrolled off screen, if indeed you can do so at all, but this section is still more about the Pippi anyway. That, just there, was a beautiful shot, if I do say so myself. Now, I don't actually want to talk over this refight with Airman. Again, I'll explain the math behind why this is so much easier when it's over. But yeah, so you don't have to hear me yap on. In the meantime, enjoy. Okay, that was way too close. The bastard pulled out the one pattern I didn't want to see right at the end, and I only just about squeaked through that pellet shot to take him out in time. Still a douchebag right to the bitter end. Okay, back to math class. And this time around, I'm going to make a few approximations rather than mess around with the exact probabilities, etc., because otherwise the numbers will start to get quite complicated. It actually took 8 tornado waves, I'm not going to count the 9th and last one, as I didn't technically make it through that, before I defeated Airman. It does take longer in the Wily Wars version, but again, for simplicity, let's assume that I was a tad slow in taking him out, but that it would still take me needing to dodge 6 waves, so him jumping across screen twice, to beat him. For the first 3 waves, I only need him to not do the one pattern I can't avoid. I don't care which of the other 3 he does. That's a probability of 3 and 4 times 3 and 4 times 3 and 4, which equals 27 over 64. Now, for simplicity, let's assume it's actually 27 and 63, which is pretty much the same, and that fraction cancels down to 3/7. It's also, therefore, approximately, a probability of 3/7 that I'll get through the second set of 3 tornadoes. So together, the probability of making it through the total of 6 waves is 3/7 times 3/7, which equals 9 over 49. Now again, for simplicity, we could either subtract 1 from both the numerator and denominator of the fraction, making 8 over 48, which cancels down to 1 in 6, or add 1 to both the numerator and denominator, making 10 in 50, which cancels down to 1 in 5. Now again, these are approximations, but they're not far off, and hopefully make the numbers a little easier to work with. So it would take, on average, between 1 in 5 and 1 in 6 attempts at a fight with Airman for me to have 6 tornado waves in a row that I can easily dodge. Compare that with the GameCube Anniversary Collection version, which was 1 in 64 to dodge 3 waves. Or hell, even the NES version, which was 1 in 8 to dodge 3 waves. Whichever way you slice it, the Wily Wars version is much, much more lenient. And just in case any of you were wondering, it actually took 9 fights with Airman to get the successful perfect run. So, longer than would be expected, on average, but still not too bad. Anyway, returning to the difficulty analysis, and from a fairness point of view, I can only really work off my experience on the GameCube version, so this is what I have to date. An unknown length of time and number of outtakes suffered because I haven't beaten it, and unsurprisingly, this stage, or more accurately Airman, pissing me off more than anything I've done up to this point. So congratulations, you cheating bastard. Airman gets the full 10 out of 10 from me. Let this be a reference point for the remainder of this series. Scores of 10 will be reserved for Robot Master stages I cannot, yet anyway, perfect run. I've spent enough time devoted to this for the time being. It may be something I go back and try from time to time, but for now, I'm thoroughly fed up with this stage. And no, this isn't the only stage I haven't been able to do. In fact, you should immediately be able to think of one more if you've been paying attention as to how I'm going about all this. So that's all from me this time. I hope I was able to get across my feelings toward this stage without simply coming across as me whining about it, but thought that it needed perhaps a bit more explanation as to why it's been such a cause of frustration. I'm sure I'll be mellower next time. Maybe not actually. Just think who's left. Until then, cheerio.